You'll have a seat just for a couple moments. Okay, now for those of you who've been here week after week after week this summer, this is the third of 5 or 6 weeks in a row where the readings are almost virtually identical, this Bread of Life discourse. And I know that. But on Monday, I'm sitting down and I'm looking at all this and I'm trying to put a sermon together, and I said, oh, not again. What can I say? I said, I could give you a week off and no sermon. I'm sure they'd love that. And then I was struck by the opening prayer, the collect. All right? And I'm going to ask you to do something. Take your little green insert and why don't you look at the opening prayer? Okay? Just for a second. Grant us, Lord, we pray, the spirit to think and do always the things that are right, that in the end we may be enabled by you to live according to your will. There's this rhythm, this pattern, that prayer is about worship, it's about praise, it's about confession, it's about adoration, it's about thanksgiving, and yet ultimately, at some point, that all within our center has to be translated into the way we live. It has to be acted out somehow. And that theme of God, give us what we need within so that we can carry it out into the world we live in, that's a theme that shows up in so many of the collects of the prayer book. Now, you all have a real life, but when I was in seminary, we had a liturgy professor, and basically what they made us do was go through every single collect in the prayer book, and there's like 1,000 pages in that book, okay? And find how often this theme comes up again and again and again and again through the Sundays and the feast days and all the special days of the year. And maybe it's because we need to hear it that often. Give us, Lord, whatever it is within we need so that we can act out and make you present in the world. Receive the Spirit to do the things that we need to do. So prayer is not just about thinking and believing, it's also ultimately about action. And that got me thinking about the reading that Bill read, the second reading, the one that most of us, including the priest in front of you, usually pays little attention to when he starts working on homily prep. And I was thinking about all the things that Paul was telling this community that he loved, the community he founded, in a Christian community in Ephesus. And he kind of makes it very clear, well, these are some of the ways we can think and do what is right and the way we need to act out, the way we can live a Christ-like life. Things that we should do to literally put on Christ. That's a phrase he uses at another point in the letter. And when he uses that phrase, he's reminding people, like when you were baptized, at least in that service back then, the ritual was you went down to the river, you took off all of your clothes eventually, you went into the water, you were immersed 3 times in the water, and when you came out, you were given a brand new white robe. And you put that on. And putting on this new clean robe was symbolic of the fact that you put on the grace of Christ. And he always tapped into that image. He always uses that phrase, put on Christ, over and over again, reminding him, you were baptized, this is what this means. And he says, all right, this is how we should be living. It's a series of very simple teachings, things we've all heard 1,000 times. Sometimes his reasoning is a little different and it causes you to think, or at least it causes me to think. He started off by saying, there can't be any falsehood. We can't be people who are afraid of the truth. We cannot be people who not only lie, that's easy to do and to recognize, whether deliberate or unconscious, but it's also about the menace of things unsaid, to use that poetic phrase. When we give approval to what we know is not true by not confronting it then and there. And he gives a very interesting reason for it. He doesn't say because it's wrong or God's going to send you to hell. He says, look, we have to be people of truth because we are Christ's body. We are members of one another. We are his body. And just like a human body functions because your senses and your nerves and your brain are all connected and they send the same message so that there's truth going on, the spiritual body is the same way. You know, very simple. Kyle, all right, Boy Scout, you've made a few fires in your time. You were an Eagle Scout, right? Okay. Can I assume that one of the things you would not do is to take your paw and put it right into the flame?
I would not.
You would not. Very good. You have restored my faith in your generation. Okay. But why not?
Because it will hurt.
Well, a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, exactly. Because at the end, your brain has to get the message from your hand.
What would happen?
Yeah, it's going to hurt, obviously, okay? And one of the things, when I had surgery many, many years ago, there was this period of time where I had no feeling from my elbow to my wrist. so that I literally could actually put my hand against the stove and I would have felt nothing. But the damage still would have been done. It's just that no connection. My arm wasn't telling the truth to my brain. Get it out of there. And Paul takes that very simple image and makes it spiritual and says, the spiritual body of Christ has got to function with truth too. We have to be truthful with each other, but speak to one another with kindness and compassion so that we build each other up, not just tear each other down, but don't let the lies be told and don't let them go unchallenged. And then he also says, be careful about your anger. Now look, there's a difference between someone who's just simply bad-tempered, irritable, foul-mouthed, irascible, bitter, habitually mean and angry. Okay? I have a few members of my family who are like that, and I've had a few moments like that, as many of you know. But there is that kind of anger as opposed to what we might call a righteous anger. Being angry because something truly is wrong and needs to change. I mean, be truthful. Would slavery have come to an end in this country if there were not enough people angry about it, enough to actually put their lives on the line? Would working conditions for the poor ever have changed without the labor movement and the angle behind that? Would apartheid have ever ended? Would civil rights, as poorly as they are being defended today, would they ever have been recognized without some kind of anger? Or women's rights? There's a difference between being angry for the sake of being angry at something that is unjust and wrong. And Paul says, be careful what you're angry about. Let your anger be right and righteous. Jesus himself got angry on occasion. He got angry at religious leadership that imposed burdens on people that they themselves weren't following, who made money off the poverty of their own people, and money changes in the temple. So there is an anger that is unselfish and disciplined. But while you're at it, there's also being angry because people around each other just happen to annoy each other. Is there any couple in here who spent any time together in their lives together who've never been angry at your spouse or significant other? Please raise your hand. I didn't ask you to laugh. Just raise your hand. Okay? Yeah, we always have those moments. And he says, don't let the sun set on your anger. There's such great wisdom. Am I the only person in this building who has family members who haven't spoken to each other for years because someone got angry about something, the thing being, you probably don't even remember, and the hostility between Aunt Gertrude and Uncle Ralph has gone on for a decade and century? Bill, you've never had that. Good for you. Anyone? Am I the only one who's had that in the family? You've never had it? God bless you. You had it in your family. You had it in your family. You've had it in yours. But you have not. Good. Well, let me tell you what it's like. Okay? You learn, hopefully as a young person, there's great wisdom into, as angry as you may be for whatever reason, confront that and try to clear the air as clear as possible, because it will linger, and it will linger. A long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, when I was ordained, my family wanted to have a party after the ordination ceremony, okay? And of course, it was all the members of our collective families. Now, I am not being mean, I'm just stating a fact. There will be peace between North and South Korea before there is peace between the Campos and the Ferraras. Okay, the two, my mom and dad's families. And trying to get people who will sit with each other and talk to each other, and this one is not talking to this one, and this one's angry at this one because of something that happened Christmas in 1944 before her brother went to the war. And finally, I exploded in probably unrighteous anger. And I basically said to them, they don't have to talk to each other, all they have to do is eat. And I don't care if they come or not. And of course, I was speaking with the arrogant and 25-year-old who knows, thought he knew everything. But the point is, anger can fester. And it just never goes away. And that's the beauty of Paul the pastor saying, you're going to get angry, but you got to face the issue that caused it. And don't let it eat away at you like a cancer from within. And then he said a couple of other things too. If you have to, we need to work honestly, work diligently. We don't work just to collect stuff. What we have is there so we can share with others who have less than we. So there's these beautiful little proverbs that are just kind of thrown in. A pastor talking to his people. It says, you want to be Christ-like, be imitators of God, learn to forgive, walk in love, care for those who have less than we do. Don't grieve the Spirit. Realize what you've been given the day you were baptized. And realize have within you the power to make Christ and his presence alive in the world. That's what it means to walk in love. So do we walk in love? What does the head of the body think of us, the body, and how we make it